Level 1. The question. The screen asks if you are still watching. It is 2:47 in the morning. The question sits in the dark, patient white letters on black, and your thumb answers before the rest of you gets a vote. You are 22. You run an injection molding machine on second shift at a plastics plant, 3 in the afternoon to 11 at night. $16.75 an hour. When you get home, your ears are ringing and your hands smell like hot plastic, and nobody on earth falls asleep cold off a shift like that. So you put something on. 1 episode to wind down. That is the founding sentence of the next 5 years, and it is not even a lie yet. It is a receipt you have not read. Netflix costs $15.49 a month, and you do the math exactly the way the math was designed to be done. A movie ticket in town costs $14.50 and buys 2 hours. $15.49 buys everything, all month. It feels like the smartest money you have ever spent. It costs $15.49 a month. That is the last honest number it will ever show you. The first night, it is 1 episode, 42 minutes, lights out by 1. Within a month, the 1 episode has a warm-up act and an encore. You get home at 11:20 and surface at 2:47, and the 3 hours in between do not feel like 3 hours. They do not feel like anything. That is the product. Time with the feeling removed. At the plant, the habit even earns its keep. The line guy's talk shows over the conveyor, and you always have the answer now. The theory, the casting news nobody else caught. Men who never learned your first name start saving you a seat at lunch. Belonging at $15.49 a month feels like the bargain of the century. Then the machine shows you its one small trick. An episode ends, the credits shrink into a corner, and a countdown starts. 5 seconds. The next episode begins on its own. You do not decide to keep watching. You decide nothing. The deciding has been handled for you, quietly, upstream, by people who are very good at it. You will not sit through a full credit roll again for 5 years. Sunday nights, your mother calls. You pause the show and talk with the frozen frame glowing behind your reflection. She asks what is new. Not much, you say, which is true in a way you choose not to examine. A pause screen is not off. A pause screen is a held breath, and you have somewhere to be. In November, the plant guys invite you out on a Friday. Wings, a bar, somebody's cousin playing guitar. You are 4 episodes from the end of a season, so you say next time. The night out would have cost $40. The couch costs nothing. You fall asleep at 3 feeling like you saved money. Watching feels like thrift. That is the disguise. You are not spending. You are saving. Every night in is $40 you kept. And the numbers agree with you because you're only counting the numbers it lets you see. Otherwise, your life is fine. You are early to work. You have a girlfriend named Maya you met in a movie theater ticket line, a truck that starts on the first turn, a couch that is learning your shape. The habit is small and house-trained, and it pays for itself in comfort. An episode ends. The corner countdown starts. 5 seconds is not enough time to find the remote in the dark, and both of you know it. That is not an accident. Nothing in there is an accident. Are you still watching? You think it is asking about the show. Level 2. The feed. The phone finds you at work, which is the one place the television cannot reach. Lunch breaks first. 22 minutes, a sandwich, and a screen the size of a playing card. YouTube is free, which impresses you, because you have not yet asked the only question that matters about free things. Then what is being sold? You are what is being sold. You will not understand that for years. Right now, you are just a man watching a video about a machine shop in Ohio. Then a video about why a movie flopped. Then a video the app chose on its own, and it chose right. That is the part nobody warns you about. The feed learns you. Not your name, nothing so crude. It learns that you get restless 2 seconds before you get restless. It learns what you cannot not click. It runs a tryout on your attention every day, cuts whatever underperforms, and by spring, it knows your taste better than Maya does. Because Maya is not allowed to study you 11 hours a day, and it is. Your watch history from 1 Tuesday off, 34 videos. You scroll it once, the whole day itemized like a receipt, and feel something you decide not to name. The history is a diary somebody else is writing about you, and it is more accurate than the one you would write. You pay for premium, $13.99 a month, to remove the ads. You tell yourself it is about the interruptions. It is. You just have the direction wrong. You are paying to remove the only thing that ever interrupted it. Dinner stops being cooked. A $12 burrito arrives at your door, costing $23.80 after fees and tip, and you cover the extra $11.80 without blinking because going to get it would mean pressing pause. You are paying $11 to not press a button twice a week. You never run that math. The bank runs it for you in March as a $32 overdraft fee, which you pay and forget. By August, the phone comes out on the floor itself, 4 minutes at a time in a bathroom stall, sound off, captions on. You are stealing minutes from your own wage at $16.75 an hour and donating them to a company that does not know you exist. Nobody catches you. That is not the same as nobody paying for it. Every Sunday, the phone sends you a report on your own screen time. You swipe it away unread, the way you swipe away everything true. At the plant, there is a man named Gary, 51 years old, 30 of them at these machines, and the inside of his locker door holds a laminated list of the 100 greatest films ever made. He has seen every one at least 3 times. Ask Gary anything about any movie, and he gives you the year, the director, the studio, the fight behind the scenes. He has been going to write a screenplay since 1998. Everybody at the plant loves Gary. Nobody asks Gary anything about Gary. You think Gary is a coworker. Gary is a trailer for a movie you are already in. In June, your cousin Dale corners you at a cookout. Dale films weddings and real estate walkthroughs, drives a van full of hard drives, and he has just watched you recap an entire series for the table. Every turn, perfectly timed. The ants crying laughing. You just did my job for free, Dale says. I cut stories out of footage all day, and I am drowning in it. $15 an hour whenever you want it. Footage does not spoil. You laugh it off. Overtime at the plant pays $25.12. Why take a pay cut to stare at screens when staring at screens is already free? Free. You are 23 years old, and you still believe you know what things cost. Level 3, the stack. Nobody subscribes to 7 things. It happens one free trial at a time. Netflix, YouTube Premium, the one with the prestige dramas, the one with the documentaries, the sports one for a season that already ended, the one you joined for a single show 2 years ago, the one you honestly forgot. Together, they draw $91.43 a month, sliding out of your account on 7 different days, each too small to ever get blamed. You are paying rent on 7 doors, and all of them stay open all night. $91 a month is $1,097 a year. Nobody ever says the yearly number out loud. The whole industry is built on the monthly one, small and soft and forgettable, and you are exactly the customer it was built for. The television gets bigger, because of course it does. 65 inches, $54 a month for 24 months. $1,296 for a wall of light. You, a man who negotiates the price of brake pads, finance a window that faces other people's lives. The watching changes shape too. You run everything at double speed now, because the list keeps growing and a show has become a chore the way a lawn is a chore. You watch recaps of shows you have not seen. You watch reaction videos. A man in headphones watching the movie so you can watch him feel it. You are 2 screens away from your own life, and you call it a hobby. Your watch list holds 212 titles. You add faster than you finish. A watch list looks like taste. It is actually a debt, denominated in evenings, and the interest compounds nightly. Bedtime slides to 4:10 and calls itself flexible. Maya is still here. You met her in a ticket line, which you will one day file under irony, because you have not been inside an actual theater in 2 years. She used to suggest things: a drive, her sister's place, a Tuesday market that sells the peaches she likes. Somewhere in there she stopped suggesting. The way a tide goes out, no announcement. Twice that summer she buys the peaches anyway, and they sit on the counter going soft, and both of you watch them do it and say nothing. One Saturday she asks what you did today. Just conversation, and you run the honest inventory silently before answering. 11 trailers, 4 recaps, 1 3-hour ranking of a franchise you do not even like. Not much, you say. It is the same answer you give your mother. It is becoming your entire biography. The plant posts a lead operator certification. Saturday mornings, 4 weeks, 7 a.m. Passing it is worth $2.25 an hour, which is $4,680 a year, forever. You sign up twice. You attend 0 times, because 7 in the morning does not exist in your time zone. You have watched 40 videos about machines. You have watched entire careers, start to finish, in other men's lives. You just cannot be awake for yours. The credit card carries $1,900 at 26.99%. mostly food that came to the door. You know the runtime of 400 films. You have never once read the interest rate. In October, Maya stands in the doorway with a box of her things, and she is not crying, which is worse. You can tell me everything, she says, about people who have never heard your name. You start to answer, and she shakes her head. I stopped inviting you in March, she says. You never noticed. The door closes. The apartment is finally perfectly quiet. It takes you 4 seconds to fix that. Level 4. The Critic. By 26, you are, in the only economy you live in, rich. You can name opening weekends the way other men name birthdays. You know what the studio paid for the script, what the star took home, what it grossed against what it cost. You can predict a plot twist 20 minutes out, and you are never wrong. And it is the worst thing that ever happened to your evenings, because stories cannot surprise you anymore, and your life cannot interest you. You can quote a film's budget from memory. Your own checking balance you have to look up. It is $61. You looked. The schedule has gone fully nocturnal. Lights out at 4:40, awake at 1:50, shower, shift. Your days no longer contain mornings. Sunlight is a thing that happens to the parking lot on your way in. At the machine, there are 2 near misses in 1 month. Your hand somewhere a hand should not idle, and the supervisor moves you off the press to packing. Reaction time, he says. He is not wrong. Your reaction time is world class. It is simply spent by the time you clock in, all of it, on skipped intros and caught frames, and the plant gets what is left. Packing pays $1.10 less an hour. You do that math instantly. It is the only kind you are still fast at. You spend your last sick day on a Thursday, not sick, because a season dropped at midnight, all 10 episodes at once, and you treat it like jury duty. Blinds down, phone bright. One spring weekend, you watch 29 hours of a single series between Friday night and Monday. 4 deliveries, $97 in food, and when it ends, you sit in the dark, feeling robbed, which is the exact feeling the next series is built to fix. At work, Gary waves you over to his locker. He has a marker out, and he's performing surgery on the laminated list. Retiring number 100, writing in something new. 30 years, Gary says, and the list finally feels finished. He says it like an achievement. You hear it like a sentence. Sunday nights, your mother still calls. You keep one earbud in now while you talk. One ear for her, one for the feed. She gets the ear. It gets the attention. She tells you your uncle is sick, and you say the right words. And an hour later, you cannot remember which uncle. Rent is $890 and manual. The subscriptions are automatic. Guess which ones have never once been late? Human Resources calls you in. Attendance points, quality dings, a written warning on plant letterhead. You sign it without reading it, the way you accept terms and conditions. And the woman across the desk watches you do that and writes down one more thing. Payday is 3 days off. You order dinner to the couch and the card declines. Available balance, $4.61. You sit with the phone in your hand, genuinely confused, because nothing on the screen has ever declined you. The shows load instantly. The feed refills itself. The credits shrink. The corner counts down. The one deadline of your life that has never once been missed. The next episode begins in 5 seconds. 4, 3. You do not move. You stopped counting the seconds a long time ago. The seconds started counting you. Level 5. The Report. The seconds finish their count on a Tuesday in March. Human Resources again, same office, same woman, and this time the letterhead says termination. Attendance points. You have accumulated enough of them to graduate. There is no severance for a man fired for cause. Just a final check for $611 in a plastic bag for the contents of your locker. A charger, earbuds, a spare charger. The complete equipment of 5 years fits in one hand, and the walk to the truck takes 4 minutes and feels like a film you have already seen. You sit in the parking lot and do the thing you have never once done. You open the Sunday Report. 11 hours and 24 minutes. That is your daily average across the year, workdays included. You read it 3 times, waiting for it to be a glitch. Then you run the math it has been waiting 5 years for you to run. You are awake 16 hours a day. You were at the plant for 8 of them. The numbers do not fit inside the day. They fit if you count the bathroom stall. They fit if you count the phone propped against the press. The report is not telling you what you did with your evenings. It is telling you what you did with your life. That night you sit at the kitchen table with a pen and the back of the warning letter you never read, and you run the audit like an autopsy. 5 years of subscriptions, about $5,300. The delivery premium, $11 at a time, twice a week, call it $9,400. The television, $1,296. The overdraft fees, the late charges, the interest on food you do not remember eating. Call the whole thing $17,000. Cash, gone. Then you write the real number, 17,000 hours, give or take, since the night the question first asked. At full time, that is 8 working years watched. At your own wage, $16.75 an hour. It is $284,000 of labor, donated to companies that measured you by the second and never learned your name. You were the most generous man in the county. You could have apprenticed twice. You could have built a house with your hands and slept in it. Money comes back. Hours are a final sale. 5 weeks later, the plant idles the entire second shift, which means they fired you for missing a thing that was already dying. In the parking lot, you see Gary, 55 now, carrying 34 years in one box with the laminated list writing on top. They gave him a package and a card the whole shift signed. He shakes your hand and says he is finally going to have time to write. You both hear it. Neither of you says it. The trailer, you understand at last, was never for his movie. It was for yours. For 19 days, you leave the apartment only for the gas station. Rent is due in 11 days. You are holding $214, and the queue keeps playing, because the queue does not check references. Somewhere past 4 in the morning, an episode ends, and in the half second before the next one loads, the screen goes black. And there you are, lit gray, not moving, a man reflected in the one thing the feed never recommends. You pick up the phone, not to scroll, to dial. Does the offer still stand, you ask? Dale does not ask which offer, or why your voice sounds like that, or what took 4 years. He just says the sentence you have been carrying without knowing it. Footage does not spoil. Level 6. The cut. You cancel all 7 that same night. It takes 11 minutes because none of them make the door easy to find, and everyone offers you a discount on the way out. Even now, even here, one last countdown. The stack that drew $91.43 a month goes quiet. You delete the apps. You set the phone to grayscale, and the feed, in black and white, finally looks like what it is. Wet cardboard. A slot machine with the lights off. Nobody warns you that quitting a screen has symptoms. Your thumb reaches for a phone that is not there 30 times a day. Silence has weight now, actual weight, and it sits on you in the evenings. Boredom comes back like a landlord who has been away 5 years and wants to walk the property. The first week you sleep badly and stand in rooms not knowing why you walked into them. You write 3 rules on an index card and tape it to the dead television. 1. A screen must produce a file with your name on it, or it does not turn on. 2. 1 movie a week. In a theater. Full price, $14.50. Cash. Phone stays in the truck. You stay through the credits. Every name to the last logo. 3. Every evening hour gets a line in a notebook. What it bought. Hours are the only paycheck now, and you are done getting robbed on payday. Then you sell the 65-inch for $260 to a man who haggles in your doorway. You still owe $324 on it, so you are paying money to make it leave, and it is the best money you ever spend. Rent clears by $19. The wall of light rides away in a hatchback, facing backward, watching you the whole way down the street. The first Friday, you sit in a half-empty theater, and when it ends, you do not move, and the names roll, hundreds of them, gaffers and drivers and accountants, and you read everyone. It is the first full credit roll you have seen in 5 years. It takes 6 minutes. It feels like church. Monday, you start in Dale's garage. A folding chair, a second-hand monitor, $15 an hour. Cutting a wedding you did not attend down to 11 minutes somebody will cry at. And here is the thing nobody could have told you. You are good at this, not eventually, immediately. You know, to the second when a shot has overstayed. You can feel the exact moment an audience reaches for its phone, because you spent 5 years being that audience. 11 hours a day. The most expensive education in attention ever purchased by a man who believed he was relaxing. The feed studied you. It turns out you were taking notes too. It is called editing. It is the first work you have ever done that does not feel like standing beside your own life. Dale teaches you the only rule he owns. The audience forgives everything except wasted time. He says it like a craftsman. You receive it like a diagnosis, because you know who taught you that rule. 11 hours a day for 5 years. and what the tuition ran. The notebook's first week is embarrassing. Walked to the river, fixed the truck door, called mom. Small lines, badly earned. By the second month, the lines stop being chores and start being a life, and you catch yourself planning evenings the way you used to plan seasons. Your first check is $312. You look at it longer than you ever looked at a paycheck, twice the size, because every dollar of it is an hour with your name on the file. Sundays you drive to your mother's now instead of calling. Phone in the truck, 2 ears. She tells you about the uncle, the neighbor, the roof, and you keep all of it. And one afternoon she stops mid-sentence and says, "You seem taller." You are not taller. You are just present, which from across a kitchen looks the same. Level 7. The timeline. Dale's overflow becomes your pipeline. The wedding leads to a realtor, $150 a walkthrough, for a week. The realtor leads to a roofing company that wants its crews looking heroic. You raise the rate from 15 an hour to 45 and nobody blinks. And then you stop selling hours altogether and start selling finished things, $1,200 a film, and learn the oldest rule in pricing. Nobody pays for time. They pay for the ending. At 29, you file the paperwork, $150, and name the company Second Shift, and only you ever know why. You hire one editor, then a second. Real payroll, real taxes, paid on the first, never late, because you spent years watching automatic payments beat a man's rent out the door, and you know which side of that lesson you intend to sign. Then the strange clients arrive. Creators, people with channels, audiences, graphs, and the graphs are the job. You spend days inside YouTube now, on the side of the glass where the money gets made, and the feed that once billed you hourly finally pays you back the same way. A retention curve is a chart of where 10,000 strangers stopped watching, second by second, and the first time a client slides one across the desk, you almost laugh, because you can read it the way a river guide reads water. Every cliff on that graph is a place you personally went over. You lived on those cliffs for 5 years. Now they pay you $4,000 a month to fence them. One client you turn down. A content mill, 40 channels, autoplay bait aimed at whoever cannot look away. Endless by design. The money is the best you have ever been offered, and the meeting is short. You know what the product is. You used to be it. Some checks cost more than they pay. The old $91.43 still leaves your account every month, on schedule, plus more as the invoices grow, into an index fund you never watch. It is the only subscription you keep, and it is the first one that renews in your favor. It crosses 6 figures. The same month, the truck crosses 200,000 miles. You keep the truck. Dale still shoots. You still cut. On a Friday in June, the van of hard drives finally empties. 5 years of other people's weddings cleared, and you both stand in his driveway, looking at the bare shelves like men who paid off a mortgage. At 31, you cut a documentary short for the County Historical Society. 40 hours of interviews with old machinists, down to 22 minutes. And it plays at the library, to 60 folding chairs. And a man 3 rows back wipes his eyes with a handkerchief. That night, you write one line in the notebook. Attention, pointed carefully, is not a drug. It is a gift. The whole industry is just a fight over who gets to aim it. By 33, Second Shift grosses $410,000 a year and keeps about $120,000 after the editors, the suite, the software, the insurance. You work 8 hours and stop. The evenings belong to the notebook, and the notebook is full, and none of it is content. You still cannot predict your own plot twists. It is wonderful. Level 8. The credits. At 36, a media group offers to buy the client roster, the retention practice, the name, everything. You negotiate for 1 month and sign for $2.7 million, plus one thing their lawyers find hilarious. You keep the small room, 1 cutting suite, 1 desk, 1 window. Invested and left alone. The quiet pile crosses $3 million on paper by 38, and you check it quarterly, which would astonish the man who once refreshed a feed 40 times an hour. There is 1 television in your house. It is small. It lives in a cabinet. The cabinet has doors, and the doors close. Your watch list holds 4 titles. You finish things now. Tuesday evenings, you teach a free editing class at the public library. 19 people on folding chairs. And the first thing on the whiteboard, every term is Dale's rule about wasted time. Friday nights you walk to the theater, pay full price, and sit through every single name because you know now what a name in a credit roll costs. Somebody's whole year is in those names. You never see Maya again. You hear, sideways, through the cousin network, that she is well, married, happy. Good, you say, and mean it the whole way down. Your mother's television is enormous because you bought it for her, and for her it is a window she waves at, not through. The difference took you 15 years to learn, and it was never the screen. It was the aim. And Gary, you call him the year you sell, and he answers on the second ring like a man who has been sitting near a phone since 1998. You hire him at 64 as a researcher, and one Tuesday you set a camera in front of him and say, "Tell me about the list." And he talks for 3 hours, and you cut it to 11 minutes. It screens at the county festival on a Thursday. It is called The 100th, and it is about a man who watched everything and the one thing he almost did not do. And when the credits roll, his name is in them, written by Gary. He sits beside you in the dark, reading his own name on a screen, 30 years late and 11 minutes long, and the room claps anyway. And Gary, who can quote every ending ever filmed, cannot say one word. There is a new title in the 100th slot of the list now, written in marker, his. Some debts do not get repaid, they get recut. Then it is an ordinary night, and you stop at a diner, and in the corner booth there is a young man, early 20s, a plant lanyard still around his neck, boots still dusted from the shift. His food has gone cold on the plate. His phone is propped against the napkin holder at the angle you know, and his neck is bent at the angle you know, and the light on his face changes every 8 seconds. The battery icon is red. 4%. He has not seen it. You could cross the room. Some nights, some kids, you would. Tonight you pay his check at the register on your way out, quietly, which fixes nothing. And you do it anyway, because you remember what a free thing feels like to a man doing that math. An episode ends. In the small glass of his eyes, you watch the credits shrink into a corner, and the countdown start, and his thumb rise on its own. Already sure, no vote taken. 5 seconds. 4, 3. He thinks he is watching. You know what he is doing. He is answering a question he does not remember being asked. Are you still watching? He does not know yet what the answer costs, but he will.